Welcome to the other side where sports meets soul. I am your host, Kyla, and today's episode is me. I realized that throughout these episodes that I have been posting, I'm talking about human connection. And my goal a lot with this is to focus and put the emphasis on the guests so that they can have a platform to speak their stories, to speak their truth, creating a space where they are able to have that level of vulnerability without any judgment. And so on and so forth. I don't want to put a lot of focus on myself because this isn't about me, but I realize that I am the one creating this. And if I'm talking about human connection and not directly connecting with my audience, then I feel like I'm being a little bit hypocritical. So I wanted to post this video so that I can connect with my 13 subscribers. Shout out to you guys. No, but for real, that one day is going to be 1.3 million. She's just gonna keep multiplying, baby. Okay, I'm here for the long run. Isn't there a movie called? No, it's called The Long Walk. I heard it was really good. Anyway, I wanted to do this so that I can connect with you guys. And also that's feedback I've received. I am really big on growing and learning, of course. And this is a big thing that I am doing in that direction. And some feedback I have gotten from the audience is to also use my own voice to connect with you guys because I want to create trust with you. And it also builds trust with me and my platform as well. And so I really wanted to talk about self-doubt because whether you're an athlete or not, you may experience that at some point in your life with whatever it may be in your career, hobbies, passions, or relationships. I think that self-doubt can be in so many different forms, but it can also disguise itself as well. I also think self-doubt can be a subconscious protection through the voice of fear, kind of being able to differentiate the different voices. I sound like I'm fucking differentiating the voices in my head. My God, what am I saying? You know what I mean? Though, like the voice that you have that's very negative, you know, like the pessimist and the optimist. So having that within yourself, God, I sound like that movie Split when he has like 20 personalities or something, all the voices. Anyway, it's so funny to observe yourself in different environments. That is new territory that I'm still navigating what I'm feeling and processing. So as nerve-wracking as it has been to start something new like this, it can feel a little intimidating. So I think subconsciously maybe why I have been avoiding putting out just a video of myself is because it's a different layer of vulnerability that I have to tap into that I am not accustomed to doing. So I think through that, I've been avoiding this and I don't want to do that. It is really important to talk about the inner critic that people have within themselves, and especially with this creating something that has just been the vision inside my own brain and my own body, and making that come to life and making it a reality when I'm kind of the only one that is going to make that happen, which at the end of the day, we only have ourselves with, you know, that sounds kind of depressing, but you know what I mean. So I've been struggling building this podcast, not because anyone is telling me it's bad or that every what if I have thought about has come true into light when talking with other people. Only voice that has said anything negative about what I'm building is my own. And I'm trying to navigate that. It's literally has nothing to do with anyone's opinions but my own. The most critical opinion is from myself. I think it's important to acknowledge what comes up but not necessarily believing everything that you may immediately think. I'm always feeling like I'm not doing enough, where if I take a break or I give myself rest, that is me being unproductive towards my goals. I am not good enough to do this. But I recently presented the fourth agreement from the 4 agreements. The one right before always doing your best, which is number 4. Number 3 is never making assumptions. And so what I'm noticing is I'm already making assumptions about the outcome of this podcast, which is then hindering me doing my best. Because if I have already assumed that my best is not enough, then all the input I put in, no matter how hard I'm working, is already given the narrative that it's not going to work. And so I also have to know that like your best changes over time. My best could be 10% on Monday and 80% on Wednesday and 100 on Friday. Like it's hard to navigate the difference between disciplining myself and punishing myself for not having enough of it. But I also know that if I stay busy, that doesn't necessarily equate to productivity or progress. And so finding a way that I'm protecting myself through fear and disguising it as if it's discipline, it brings me back to the core question of why do I have such a hard time trusting myself in something I've envisioned and that I'm building for myself. But then if I look closer at that question, the reality of it is not that I'm scared of trusting myself, but the responsibility that comes with it. Because when you are trusting yourself in something that does not have a definitive outcome, where it could completely fail, where you're putting yourself out there with a level of vulnerability that is new for me, it can all be quite terrifying. But that fear almost wraps itself in disguise of protection through the panic that I feel internally. Not having a clear direction, not having a clear outcome, solely just trusting within yourself, no matter what that outcome could be, and having to choose to trust yourself every single day. It gives me the perspective that the same thing can show up for athletes. And what I mean by that is that people see performance. They don't see what athletes carry before the game, after the game. Maybe the courage that it took for them to go out there today, regardless of what other mitigating factors may be playing a role in their life, during their injuries, during the uncertainty, during the recovery days, the rest days. We never see everything that they're carrying. We only see what they carry on the courts or the fields. Or I'm sure that there is with athletes where there are parts of themselves that they have doubted, that they've struggled with trusting themselves. So if I'm just starting out in this, feeling this way, I can only imagine the roller coaster of emotions and doubt when you are a professional athlete. I do know what it feels like to carry something quietly, and I feel that athletes may do that as well in their careers. Why is that? Is it because it's not getting talked about enough? Is it because people aren't interested in that part? I think the main thing is why I want to record this too is that self-doubt can be shown in so many different ways, in so many different forms for people. I'm not alone in that because everyone is carrying something in their lives. And so that's what also is annoying. Like, I feel like I'm very self-aware, but then to a point where it could almost be a fault because it's like, hey, I am self-aware that I am feeling self-doubt and that I'm second guessing literally everything I'm doing with this. And then having like a mentee be about it. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. It's not that serious. Get over yourself. There are many other people in the world that are dealing with such harsher environments, experiences, that the fact that I am even able to do this as an opportunity is a privilege. So for me to be like, oh, I'm scared it will fail. Like, okay, then let it fail. Like, then that's fine. Like, it's not that serious. There are so many other things to be concerned about. And I think that's what also has helped me feel a little bit lighter about this, is that in the beginning, I was like, okay, I have to make sure I hit all these different steps because I'm the only one that's holding myself accountable with this. If I don't show up, then it doesn't happen. And so me making sure that I hit all of these different points with building this. And then if I mess up or it reroutes me or I have to recalculate a few different things, my brain looks at that as if I'm not good enough. I am not credible enough to do this. The purpose I see in this isn't strong enough to be sustainable. But I realized that that is obviously fear masking itself to protect me from failure. But then I'm not allowing myself to even get there. What has really helped me, and what I've seen a lot online, is that if you focus on the output and the outcome, you're going to get lost with everything you're putting into it. I have switched my mindset and perspective to giving myself permission to fail and focusing on the input that I'm putting in. Because if I am confident and I'm trusting all the hard work that I'm inputting into this, then the output is going to align with me no matter what. If I really look at it, I'm not failing. I'm learning so much. I'm growing into new versions of myself through this. So if that's failure, then I accept it with open arms. I really don't know where this is going to go. I really hope that the vision is seen, because I was on Netflix and I was just, browsing, and I saw a category of sports podcasts. Funny, wonder how that got there. But I was looking and I found something in common with every single one on there. And it was all men. It was all men. So that also gives me motivation to keep going, because a woman should be up there too. Giving myself permission to fail has created a sense of trust and grace within myself, and the pressure that I have alleviated from the input I am delivering into this. I just think about too, like when there are NBA players, NFL players, people that have said in these things like, I have to win the championship. There's no other answer. And if you don't, what are you left with? Is that your entire identity, the outcome of that game? Or regardless of the outcome, you're satisfied with the input you gave to the game? Obviously, like championships and Super Bowls, I think are a big accomplishment, and people having that long-term goal to achieve that, I think is amazing. But I think that if your performance and your worth is completely dependent on the outcome of a game or a championship, aren't you bound to lose yourself in that, whether you win or lose? And what do you carry before a game like that and after, if your identity is wrapped in that type of environment, in that type of outcome? There was a clip of Luka. A clip of Mr. Doncic. And he's been playing professionally for so long. He's literally shouting like, damn, I suck. So it's like, even these players that are in the NBA, that are in these championships, that are in these playoffs, are still having this inner critic. Clearly a negative perception of yourself was felt in that moment if you felt the urge to say that out loud. So it's so interesting. So it's like, at what point does that voice quiet down? If you're already in the top tier of your sport, of your career, and you still have that inner critic, at what point do you find that balance? And how do you navigate it? Because I'm still navigating the doubt and the trust and the acceptance and navigating all of that to be in an equilibrium. And so, yeah, I don't have an answer. I think it just makes you think about things. And that's why, like, asking these types of questions on the podcast that I am never hearing answers to, or at least I'm not watching the right shit. Maybe I'm uncultured and I am, limiting myself on my resources. So that could, you know what? That could be true too. So I can work on that as well. I just think about the difference between input and output as athletes and connecting it to what I'm going through. So if I'm saying, yeah, I feel self-doubt in this and I'm going to keep going and I have no idea where this is going to lead me, but I'm remembering my why, I'm trusting my vision. There's a reason why this came to me and why I felt so strongly and why human connection is such a passion for me in a environment that is completely looked over, and how that connects to athletes that spend years and years and years putting the input into something that they truly care about, that they truly believe in, without even knowing what the output will be and where it's going to take them, but trusting that vision, trusting what they see within themselves and accepting whatever outcome that could be. Because there are athletes doing everything right, doing all the steps that they need to be taken, the steps that need to be taken, and are still not at the place that they desire. You can spend years and years and years working at being the best player or putting your all into something, then you get an injury. And then now it's out of your control and you're completely limited. And then you have recovery and then navigating how you feel through that and then picking yourself back up again and the doubt that could swarm you into your identity of something that has been such a big or main purpose in your life to be completely stripped away within a moment. How do you balance that? I just think it's so important to talk about, to help those athletes, to help people that are wanting to become professional athletes, or anyone that is just going through the same thing that can relate to these people that have a platform, that have the opportunity and the privilege to use their voice in the way that they can help others, but also helping themselves. Because you can control the input, right? I can control how many episodes I put out. I can control how many promo clips. I can control all the marketing I do, how much advertising I want to invest into this, everything. And still none of it is guaranteed. None of it. And the same thing can be with athletes. The reps, the discipline, 5-7 days a week, 12 hours a day. I don't know how long the days are, probably longer than that, and still not having guarantee, or not knowing when it'll be your last game. Sounds really sad. That's not what I mean, but like, that sounds depressing. My main thing is that when you see these successful people and you see these successful athletes or actors or all this different stuff, you as an audience or as a witness, you're seeing all of the output come into fruition and the praise and the admiration. But the input to getting there seems to be quite invisible, when I think that is the most important part to pay attention to. That's when you're growing. That's when the character development, the inner struggle, the adversity, the inner conflict, everything that you are experiencing that leads you to that moment. But what we're only seeing is right here, but not everything it took to get there, especially with athletes. And so I think that it's really important to talk about that, and why I'm mentioning my own experience to connect to it. Because I don't want to just sit here and be like, so this is me. I'm having a horrible time with self-doubt, so I'm going to record this. No. Wait, can I do the no. Wait, hold on. I don't think that sounds like her. Where is she? How is she doing? I feel like she's doing well. I was doing a crossword not too long ago, and one of the answers was Shakira. Miss her. Wonder what she's up to. Anyway, I think trusting yourself, especially as an athlete, means to continue to train and show up for yourself, show up for your team, show up for your vision, even when the results haven't caught up with that. And I think with self-doubt, that really creeps in when the input isn't given an immediate outcome, where you aren't rewarded for the input that you are giving to something and not being recognized immediately for it. Yes. Yes, I think that's so true. Yes, it is. I hope you agree. If not, please, that's totally okay too. I would love to talk about it. But I think that really can put things into perspective. Yeah. I think it can be hard for athletes to trust themselves as well. I think that athletes are asked to believe in the output before they receive the output. The amount of times I have said input and output in this, I am so sorry. Yeah, that's really what it is. No, I think what goes with trusting yourself, no matter what you're applying or immersing yourself into, you're being asked to believe in the process before that process proves itself. So when it hasn't proven itself immediately from the input you have been delivering into this, the immediate self-doubt can come in because there is no visibility in your outcome yet. And I think that's when self-doubt really, really, really makes itself known and it tries to protect you. But really, it's only protecting you from not chasing your dreams. For myself in this, and I think with athletes as well, when you put your all into something, discipline can quietly turn into punishment. And the way that that could be looked at is extra reps doesn't always mean smarter training. Training harder isn't always training better. What I really feel in this is I'll push myself past exhaustion because I need to be doing more, because I don't feel that I have earned or deserve rest. And I think that athletes can push themselves past exhaustion because rest has not been earned for themselves either. But then you're punishing yourself in a form of it masking discipline. I think recovery too, when people go through injuries and the conflict internally that may surface from that inevitably. And through people I've interviewed of what they're telling their story and how those injuries affect them mentally, emotionally, physically. Recovery is part of the work even when it doesn't feel productive. And that is something I need to remind myself of all the time. I think too, when we are faced with being still in such a performative, action-oriented field, it can feel really uncomfortable because it forces you to sit with uncertainty. The stillness is so uncomfortable because you are left with sitting with the uncertainty and everything that isn't guaranteed. Where if you're constantly moving and you're constantly putting yourself into action and pushing yourself past these thresholds, these breaking points, you are never left with having to be still because you're never giving yourself the opportunity to, which is also something with relationships, I feel, is that men will distract themselves with things around them because once they are still, they are faced with what their actions, their words, they're faced with having to take accountability, they're faced with their emotions, they're faced on having to look inward. It doesn't have to just go with men. I think that's just my experience and my own trauma, but that men, in my experience, like I said, avoid right? Avoiding responsibility, avoiding accountability, whatever it may be that makes them look less than themselves with the ego they've put themselves on. When you encounter stillness with yourself, you are faced to look within. I think the most important thing I need to remind myself and anyone that is battling with doubt within, with whatever you are pursuing, putting your energy into, self-trust is built when you keep your word, even when confidence can trickle down or be in a sliding scale throughout the journey. But it just goes back that like, I'm here, I'm scared, I have no idea where I'm going with this or where it's going to take me, but I'm still showing up today and every day after that. Showing up for myself, showing up for my dreams and what I know I'm capable of. And that, I think, when you have that as your foundation, whether self-doubt or fear or the what ifs come into question, your foundation is much stronger than anything that could counteract that. I think if you're an athlete struggling to trust yourself, your doubt doesn't disqualify you. Your doubt doesn't hinder any of your strengths or qualifications. The work you're doing matters even when the results aren't visible yet, and your worth shouldn't be measured by the output alone. And that's something that I need to remind myself of, and maybe that's something that can help you. I'm figuring this out as I go. Thank you to following along and believing in my journey. All 13 of you, half of you probably my family. Which I love. Thank you all. Next week will also be me, so get used to it. Don't think that don't think this is the last of me, bitches. I'm just kidding. Just jokes. If you or someone you know would like to share the other side of your story, slide in my DMs, hit me up. Let's schedule something and come join the pod. With that, I'll see you next week. No, really, you will. Next week is me too. Okay, bye.